dear. So I think I'm live already. I think I am. Hold on. Let me get comfy. I'm going to, it's not quite, or is it 6:30? It's 6:30 right now. That's it. So I'll wait. If there is anyone here watching, sign in, say hi. I can read it right here. So I'm going to begin my talk. The subject of, let's see, I don't see your chat. See it over there. I don't see it here. Hmm. Hmm. So let me get rid of this. Huh. It says so. Okay. Stream is good. Stream is good. There we go. All right. Success. Janet, Soy, Dee, Arsina, and Sharon. Welcome. All right. Success. I don't understand this process very well yet. no matter how many times I do it, something different always occurs. So I'm glad that I can see. Hi, Sharon. Good morning. Yes, it must be morning where you are. Good evening. And hello. So I was about to begin. And this is all about how to grow your spiritual powers, those aspects of your psyche that are as natural to you as is your reasoning faculties or your logical thinking, conscious thinking. Supernatural, super sensible powers are within all of us. I've been interested in the nature of consciousness, actually, since I was very young. That's why I became interested in practicing yoga, teaching yoga, because it provided me a profession in which I would have the time and be justified in deepening my spiritual consciousness, my spiritual awareness, awareness of the invisible, the facets of the psyche that allow telepathy in all its guises to be developed. So I thought the best thing to do is to help you out there and to give you the kind of information that helped me when I was younger. I started becoming interested in the nature of consciousness when I was in my early 20s. I read a lot of philosophy in an attempt to see what was thought about the subject. And across my path came this book, The Knowledge of Higher Worlds and Its Attainment, an esoteric spiritualism initiation by Rudolf Steiner. Mystic, poet, inventor, genius of the last century, the turn of the last century. So what I thought I'd do is piecemeal give you the rudiments of what is necessary in your journey towards deeper self-awareness and spiritual expansion, conscious expansion, so that you can develop the inner connections, the inner umbilical cords to your spiritual source. So here we go. This is the chapter that I think is the most relevant to begin with. And it's How is Knowledge, this is the name, the title. How is knowledge of the higher worlds attained? Is the question. Conditions. There slumber in every human being faculties by means of which he can acquire for himself a knowledge of higher worlds. Mystics, Gnostics, Theosophists all speak of a world of soul and spirit, which for them is just as real as the world we see with our physical eyes and touch with our physical hands. At every moment, the listener may say to himself, that of which they speak, I too can learn if I develop within myself certain powers which today still slumber within me. There remains only one question: how to set to work to develop such faculties. For this purpose, they can only give advice who already possess such powers. As long as the human race has existed, there has always been a method of training, in the course of which individuals possessing these higher faculties gave instructions to others who were in search of them. Such a training is called occult, esoteric training. And the instruction received therefrom is called occult teaching or spiritual science. The designation naturally awakens misunderstanding. The one who hears it may very easily be misled into the belief that this training is a concern of a special, privileged class, withholding its knowledge arbitrarily from their fellow creatures. He may even think that nothing of real importance lies behind such knowledge. For if it were a true knowledge, he is tempted to think, there would be no need of making it secret. It might be publicly imparted, and its advantages made accessible to all. Those who have been initiated into the nature of this higher knowledge are not in the least surprised that the uninitiated should so think. For the secret of initiation can only be understood by those who have, to a certain degree, experienced this initiation into the higher knowledge of existence. The question may be raised, how then, under these circumstances, are the uninitiated to develop any human interest in this so-called esoteric knowledge? How and why are they to seek something of which or of whose nature they can form no idea? Such a question is based upon an entirely erroneous conception of the real nature of esoteric knowledge. There is, in truth, no difference between esoteric knowledge and all the rest of man's knowledge. That's very important to know. There is in truth, no difference between esoteric knowledge and all the rest of man's knowledge. The esoteric knowledge is no more of a secret for the average human being than writing is a secret for those who have never learned it. And just as all can learn to write who choose the correct method, so too can all who seek the right way become esoteric students and even teachers. In one respect, only do the conditions here differ from those that apply to external knowledge and proficiency. The possibility of acquiring the art of writing may be withheld from someone through poverty or through the conditions of civilization into which he was born. But for the attainment of knowledge and proficiency in the higher worlds, there is no obstacle for those who earnestly seek them. That's the good news. Many believe that they must seek at one place or another the masters of higher knowledge in order to receive enlightenment. Now, in the first place, whoever strives earnestly after higher knowledge will shun no exertion and fear no obstacle in his search for an initiate who can help him to the higher knowledge of the world. On the other hand, everyone may be certain that initiation will find him under all circumstances. If he gives proof of an earnest and worthy endeavor to attain knowledge, it is a natural law among all initiates to withhold from no man the knowledge that is due him. But there's an equally natural law that lays down that no word of the esoteric knowledge shall be imparted to anyone not qualified to receive it. Ironic, since we're reading a book. And the more strictly he observes these laws, the more perfect is an initiate. The bond of union embracing all initiates is spiritual and not external. But the two laws here mentioned form, as it were, strong clasps by which the component parts of this bond is held together. You may live in intimate friendship with an initiate, and yet a gap serves you from his essential self, so long as you have not become an initiate yourself. Yet he will only confide his knowledge to you when you are ripe for it. You may flatter him. You may torture him. Nothing can induce him to betray anything to you as long as you, at the present stage of your evolution, are not competent to receive it into your soul in the right way. So this is telling about people who go to ashrams to find gurus who can help them to raise their spiritual awareness. You see, this is one avenue that people pursue. The method by which a student is prepared for the reception of higher knowledge are minutely prescribed. The direction he is to take is traced with unfading, everlasting letters in the worlds of the spirit, where the initiate guard the higher secrets. In ancient times, anterior to our history, the temples of the spirit were also outwardly visible. Today, because our life has become so unspiritual, they are not to be found in the world of visible to the external sight, yet they are present spiritually everywhere, and all who seek them may find them. Only within his soul can a man find the means to unseal the lips of an initiate. He must develop within himself certain faculties to a definite degree, and then the highest treasures of the spirit can become his own. So, you see, it's ubiquitous, it's everywhere, it's free. You don't have to spend money. You don't have to give away your power. There is definite steps you take in order to become super sensible, super conscious. And he spells them out. He must begin with a certain fundamental attitude of soul. In spiritual science, this fundamental attitude is called the path of veneration, of devotion to truth and knowledge. Without this attitude, no one can become a student. The disposition shown in their childhood by subsequent students of higher knowledge is well known to the experienced in these matters. There are children who look up with religious awe to those whom they venerate. For such people, they have a respect which forbids them, even in the deepest recesses of their heart, to harbor any thought of criticism or opposition. Such children grow up into young men and women who feel happy when they're able to look up to anything that fills them with higher knowledge and veneration. From the ranks of such children are recruited many students of higher knowledge. Have you ever paused outside the door of someone, some person that is very venerated? And have you, on this your first visit, felt a religious awe as you pressed on the handle to enter the room, for which to you is a holy place? If so, a feeling has been manifested within you, which may be the germ of your future adherence to the path of knowledge. It is a blessing for every human being in process of development to have such feelings upon which to build. Only it must not be thought that this disposition leads to submissiveness and slavery. No. What was once a childlike veneration for teachers, for persons that are better, later becomes a veneration for truth and knowledge. Experience teaches that they can best hold their heads erect who have learnt to venerate where veneration is due. And veneration is always fitting when it flows from the depth of the heart. You see, this is the very first thing that one has to change about oneself. You have to become a seeker of those who are higher than you, better than you. This is the entire reason that people become in love with Christ, in love with Buddha, in love with Muhammad, Moses. Because these figures, real or imagined, represent for them a place where they can venerate, be devoted. Now, many may not graduate to the love of truth and knowledge, but this is an initial step that religion provides for their initiates. Within each of those religions is wise counsel as to how to move to the next step. But that veneration, that devotion is absolutely the state of mind, the state of being that's necessary for you to become super sensible to truth, to higher knowledge. You see, it's so simple. It's but difficult, extremely difficult. So, hello. I thought I'd take a break from that. What do you think about that? Did you understand that, what I'm saying? Hello, darlings. Thank you for being here. DC, Sibley. Sharon, thank you. Did that in any way? What do you think of that? Is there a being, a human being that you venerate? Is there this attitude towards you of veneration where life itself becomes the object of your love? And you see then those things in nature that are beautiful, that lead you to a state of humble awe and veneration. That has to be the primary condition to becoming more psychically empowered. It's not a magic trick. It's not abracadabra, suddenly. Or it's not even learning the tarot. You can learn the tarot as if it were just information, factual information, and you can use it to help you to prod away the barriers between you and your intuition. But to reach levels where there's an honest association with your deeper self, that state of being has to be one of awe, humility, and veneration for all of life. Because you can't possibly get better as a human being unless you have the love for the better, for the good. It has to develop in you right as a prerequisite, you see. Hello, everyone. What do I do here, Sibley? Well, I wanted to not read a book. No. What I wanted to do was to impart to you some way for you to participate in a community of consciousness. You see, right here, live, in the moment, I and everyone exists. We breathe, we are. If we place ourselves in the right attitude and disposition, we can become super conscious, not only of one another, but of higher sweeter, more divine presence within us, within the world, within the moment that we're breathing. It's to place your mind and soul into an attitude of humility and deep respect for life and for consciousness and for our being here as well. To pay deep respect to one another, to honor each other, and to live in a higher level of thought, belief, And so to expand the being that we are, that's the idea. So let me, yes. Sharon says, yes, the more I stay in touch with nature and ground myself, I see beauty in everything and want to help others. Nature, yes. Despite our disrespect and cruelty to nature recently, nonetheless, everywhere I've been, I go, I can always find beauty in her. She has many faces of beauty, many ways to display it. It can be in the night sky, the stars. It can be in the twinkling of the stars in the snow. It can be where you look, but you have to have the eyes to see it. The humility, which brings then the deep respect. So being psychic is not about playing a game of guesswork. It's about genuinely trying to experience the moment for all the power that's there within you. Every single moment that passes by is a lost opportunity to connect to yourself and to all of life, and to experience profound changes when you do within yourself. You see, your soul is always trying to develop itself. That's why it's here in this life experience. It's always trying to do that. So my idea in a relationship like this, you and I, is for it to become someplace we can learn to be more genuinely respectful of the entire being that we are, the extraordinariness of us, the extraordinariness of everything that is. This is a prerequisite. And I want you to become psychic more and more, telepathic more and more, so that if I read for you, that it could be a shared investigation, you see? And I would just guide you. That's the idea of these. So let me, hello, Poetry Witch, welcome. Was that sweet? So let me read a few of these to be kind here. Yes, well, as I said, we've been cruel to nature. Yes, I agree with you, Poetry Witch. Yes. So cruel that it's just stupidly cruel. Stupid because we're destroying our own home. Oh, goodness. Pardon me. So I was thinking about this. I hope I didn't disconnect you. So I was thinking about this the other day. And I think, I believe in Gaia. Do you know what Gaia is? Gaia? Does anyone know what it is? Gaia. Gaia is the earth as a living being, not an inert rock or even an inert plane. Not dead, not a dead thing, but instead a being that has the capacity to self-clean. That I believe if we came to our senses at some point, I have hope as a community and said we aren't going to damage anymore. And there are already inventions that have been created that will help undo the damage that we've done. But the earth herself, I believe, is a living being, as we are. And she has more than the intelligence to correct herself, to correct the things we've done to her. We just have to stop, cease and desist. So again, I'm trying to encourage a positive attitude towards nature, towards even to forgive mankind, for they know not what they do. I found that even the worst of people who have done things to damage the environment or have been cruel in some way, always think in their heart that there's a greater good that they were serving. So everyone, I believe, even the worst of human beings, has at their core a need to be good. However distant they may be from that intuition, you see? So yes, I do do readings here. But I've decided that the way I want to try to do it is, if you see in the description box below, there's a link to a donation page. I just don't like to deal with YouTube too much if I can avoid it, because there's never anyone there. It's an algorithm society with no real people in it. So we'll try it this way and see if it works. Just alert me if you've actually tried or succeeded in donating, and then I'll check and I'll give you a reading. If not, then I'll continue to read from my book, because I haven't finished it yet. There are people who probably are coming in late. Yes. Yes, it's very ironic, because there's been a debate. There was always a debate, I suppose, how public one should make these secrets of developing your intuition, secrets of developing your powers of telepathy, because they can be very strong and deep considerations to your entire character and your entire being. they may alter you in many ways. So it's when you become interested in becoming more intuitive, more telepathic, more self-aware, then you're faced with this dilemma of humility and power. It's absolutely a prerequisite to attain higher knowledge, to become humble. It has to. And again, veneration, devotion, is the way you develop this humility in you. Because unless you're humble, you'll never progress out of yourself. If you already think you've arrived, if you already think you know, if you're already at a point where you don't think you can attain a deeper level of self-knowledge, well then, that's the problem. You have to participate in the process. Nothing is given to you. To be psychic, it's not given to you. You have to develop the attitude of love and veneration. This is, I can't stress, in yoga, the same is true. Devotion, humility. Without that, you can't even begin. So, all right. If we do not develop within ourselves this deeply rooted feeling that there is something higher than ourselves, we shall never find the strength to evolve to something higher. The initiate has only acquired the strength to lift his head to the heights of knowledge by guiding his heart to the depths of veneration and devotion. The height of the spirit can only be climbed by passing through the portals of humility. Man has certainly the right to turn his eyes to the light, but he must first acquire this right. There are laws in the spiritual life, as in physical life. Rub a glass rod with an appropriate material, and it will become electric. That is, it will receive the power of attracting small bodies. This is in keeping with the law of nature. It is known to all who have learned a little physics. Similarly, though, acquaintance with the first principle of spiritual science shows that every feeling of true devotion harbored in the soul develops a power which may, sooner or later, lead further on the path of knowledge. So you see? Yep. So you have to become like a child. That's what Christ said, did he not? To become like a child. What does a child is? There's natural awe and devotion in a child. They look up to you because you are more than them, because you've developed more than them. They're in awe of you. And for you to develop more of yourself, you have to be in awe of something else. A body of teaching, if you can't find an initiate, someone who will help you physically. You have to fall in love with nature, with life first. Or it won't open up to you. That inner world will not open up to you. Try as you may. And that's the beauty of it too. Those with ill intent who may use what you call black magic. That's nonsense. They're pretending and they manipulate and they use psychology as opposed to real spiritual insight. Evil people, or people who are led to want to manipulate or to use power for its own sake, are not in any way privy to higher knowledge. They grovel in psychological manipulation. Sad, actually. Yeah. Yeah, it's absolutely, yes. It speaks, you see, Steiner was a great wordsmith. This was, of course, in German and has been translated. But it communicates well the subtle ideas of trying to attain higher knowledge, higher self-awareness. It's a delicate language, actually. Now, the one thing that everyone must acknowledge is the difficulty for those involved in the external civilization of our time to advance to the knowledge of higher worlds. They can only do so if they work energetically at themselves. At a time when the conditions of material life were simpler, the attainment of spiritual knowledge was also easier. Objects of veneration and worship stood out in clearer relief from the ordinary things of the world. In an epoch of criticism, ideals are lowered. Other feelings take the place of veneration, respect, adoration, and wonder. Our own age thrusts these feelings further and further into the background, so they can only be conveyed to man through his everyday life in a very small degree. Whoever seeks higher knowledge must create it for himself. He must instill it into his soul. It cannot be done by study. It can only be done through life. Whoever, therefore, wishes to become a student of higher knowledge must assiduously cultivate this inner life of devotion. Everywhere in this environment and his experiences, he must seek motives of admiration and homage. If I meet a man and blame him for his shortcomings, I rob myself of power to attain higher knowledge. If I try to enter lovingly into his merits, I gather such power. The student must continuously be intent upon following this advice. The spiritually experienced know how much they owe to the circumstance that in face of all things, they ever again turn to the good and withhold adverse judgment of others. But this must not remain an external rule of life. Rather, it must take possession of our innermost soul. Man has it in his power to perfect himself, and in time, completely to transform himself. But this transformation must take place in his innermost self, in his thought life. It is not enough that I show respect only in my outward bearing. I must have this respect in my thoughts. The student must begin by absorbing this devotion into his thought life. He must be wary of thoughts of disrespect, of adverse criticism existing in his consciousness. And he must endeavor straightaway to cultivate thoughts of devotion. Every moment that we set ourselves to discover in our consciousness whatever there remains in it of adverse, disparaging, and critical judgment of the world and of life, every such moment brings us nearer to higher consciousness, to higher knowledge. And we rise rapidly when we fill our consciousness in such moments with thoughts evoking in us admiration, respect, veneration for the world and for life. Do you see? I never did do this. So we have to squeeze out of ourselves every last drop of meanness, unkindness, loathing changes you so much and makes it impossible for you to become the spiritual being that you are. You'll always be pulled back into the world of material, I guess, loneliness. Everyone is alone in the material world. There's, what was Swedenborg, I think it was, who said something to the effect of loneliness, that human loneliness is bittersweet. You can get lost very easily in the material perspective. It comes at you from every aspect of life. And for you to live in this world with these feelings of devotion and veneration, you have to have a very strong love for the truth, for finding the truth, for living the truth. And then everything else will unfold from that. Oh, you're so sweet. Oh, I'm glad, Kim. Kim has someone to venerate. Yes. And it's, I listen sometimes to other channels that have different subjects, and some people are born again Christian just because they are. That's apart from the reason I'm listening to them. But then when the subject of putting the same sort of skepticism that they have been putting towards various subjects of interest, science subjects of interest, they refuse then even to brook the slightest criticism of their Godhead, Christ. And I understand this so well because Christ becomes for them the truth that they want to become. They need to have someone who is more perfect than they. And you can't attack the perfection that they have created within themselves. It's a very holy and beautiful thing. And this you must respect in other people of every faith. For in them, there at least is this yearning to believe in something better, higher, more good. You see, bittersweet. It's true. Yes. It's faith. Yes, it's faith, but it's faith that when someone believes in Christ, they have a faith that he's the Son of God, literally. They have that faith. But it's really believing that there's something more than you. more than what they have. My only part of the Christian faith that I sometimes don't feel resonates with me is the idea that life is but a stepping stone to heaven. And often there can be almost a loathing that has been achieved, whether advertly or inadvertently, whether they meant to or not. So the encompassing of life in the envelope of veneration and love, I think from my yoga, has always been to me a divine insight. And therefore, for me, Eastern religions have always achieved that kind of universal Catholic philosophy, you know? Yeah. Well, so I think that should do it, because that's a lot to think about, really. How to keep it not as an attitude you would have by going to church on Sunday, confining it to a specific time or place. I don't object to things like, I don't know how many of you have meditation rooms. You know, a place where you go specifically to create inner space. I do very much believe in creating that space, but I don't think it's mandatory. I don't think that without it, you couldn't create that space within yourself. Yes, and I agree with you. I agree with you, DC, about says the type of Christianity, that type of Christianity is a lie. That is what the Christ was trying to teach. It is the consciousness of Christ, all inclusive, and love that was missed. Yes, absolutely. And within every religion, there are people who understand the doctrine, the story at their own particular level. And when someone comes in, just came to mind, in AA, it's prescribed that a person hands over their power to God in order to overcome their addiction, because they're incapable on a conscious level to fight the urge. Their intelligence cannot battle the urge. So they have to accept the power of God and put their life, their addiction, in His hands, and has a very powerful effect in changing people. The success of whatever success has been achieved from that. So it's a very important aspect of making your life right. If you know that your life is not right, if you're living a lie and your happiness is a lie, and you only know that, then by not knowing the answers as to how you can change it, feeling weak to change it, feeling weak in front of all the habits that you've acquired, then by accepting that there's a power greater than you, that power becomes real. And the ability for that power to control your urges, to change your habits, is absolute. Whether that power came from God directly or from your higher being, your higher self, can be debated. But it works. I just happen to feel that if we preceded this handing over of power by becoming absolutely in love with life first and with ourselves as well, as we are, and then fell in awe and devotion in front of the purity and the goodness of God. See, this is, it's with that attitude that you read. And then the answers become, are like a reward, really. They're like a reward for the authenticity of your attitude, you see? It just works that way. I hope I'm not boring you. How are you all? I'm so happy that you came. Thank you. You're so sweet to come. Appreciate it. Oh, yes. It was a heavy kind of lecture today, huh? But if we were children, we wouldn't think so. We'd just be having fun with it. That's all it's asking. It's to return to a state of innocent reverence and joy. That's all. So what time is it? Oh, look at that. Wow, it's 7:45. We start at 6:30. Dear God. I'm sorry that I just thought it was so interesting. See, that's where I learned. Many years ago, I read this book, when I read to you. When I was 22 in Manhattan, I used to live in Manhattan, and in a very small uh, sardine kind of apartment full of books. And I remember reading that and being so awakened by it, because I was immersed in a bed of existentialist philosophers in New York, you know. How'd that happen? Oh my. All right. Okay. What would you like to know, poetry? I don't like to call you witch because sometimes witches get a bad rap. Oh, good. Good, good, good. What's your question, darling? All right. Let me reposition myself. Goodness. I was going to say good night, so I knew I'd probably gone on too long, huh? All right. Can you see that? Not well. Sort of well. Okay. Aw, that's nice. Just a card. Whatever I think. Well, what do I think? All right. Let me examine the cards for a moment and do it right in front of you. Yes, there is a reversal in there. Several. Give me a moment. All right. I just like that. Like you can't see it. Well, let me just do this. It's not going to work. So I'll just show you. You've got the Ace of Swords. Aces are very powerful. They represent something in its beginning stages, at its very inception. Swords are about the mind, the state of your mind. Swords represent a highly intellectual concern, mindset. There's a crown with some wreath branches hanging from it. Crowns represent, you see the halo? A halo? It represents a higher understanding. When someone is living in a state where they have direct communication with the divine within them. So it's interesting because what it's given you is insight into this inner phenomenon going on. There's an intellectual seed idea, some seed idea that has come to you, sort of like a enlightened idea, but it's formed without detail. The vision is there, but the detail has yet to be added. So generally, from this point to around 6 months into the future, some seed idea, some revelation, something that's beginning now, something that's starting now, that needs intellectual application, yet has come from an area of your being that is more enlightened, has created a very raw situation where there are choices. So aces are, they're double-edged sword. So two sides to something. There's two sides to something that's singular. So you have to look at things from different angles, intellectually, reasonably, logically. Examine it, because it's very aggressive. You see, this hand is forcing this. There's some sort of real force of action behind it. So it's not purely mindful. There's aggression, having to aggress something to make your point, to inject your opinion, you see, is the call for it. And if you do, you stand up for truth, you stand up for what's right, and the effects will ripple out and affect you in the future. So something in its infant stage is evocative, taking your intellectual energy, but necessary. And it's aces are wonderful. And also swords are very active and witty and so social. So all of that. All right. Well, there's a link, Sibylla, below the video to my donation page on grandcentralhealing.com, my website, from where you can make a donation. I wanted to circumvent Super Chat, because there's nobody there. So if you have problems with any of it, they don't care. So it's a funny world we live in. Very funny. You're writing a romantic novel. Oh, well, no wonder. Yes. Finish it. It bodes extremely well for it. it would be well accepted. And it's astute. The source is saying is very astute, wordsmith, astute. All right. All right, so Sibylia, you're an Aquarius, he's a Libra. How does the relationship develop? You've known each other for many years and have been together many times. Will we formalize? Is that a euphemism for marriage? Is that what you mean? Will we marry? Is that, yeah. All right. Hold on. Until I do this. So I just want to read this to you because I also wanted to start with an angel card because I like when asking about relationship is it's a very important aspect of our life. How we love, who we love. So the card that I pulled for you is innocence. Beloved one, everyone is guiltless in truth, as no one can alter God's handiwork of perfection. Give us your feelings of heaviness so we can lighten your load. Give us any guilt, anger, or blame that might shroud your loving outlooks. Enjoy the peace within your heart. Once more. So, let me reconfigure the cards. And I generally only put 2 reversals in so that we don't get overly complex. All right. Ooh, wait. No, that was good. So, look here. Judgment. judgment. You see, the family is emerging from their coffins. The coffin represents past negative behavior, beliefs, attitudes, the accumulated dearth from living without the highest joy. So this family represents your spirit, your soul, the soul of your family, emerging from the coffin self-imposed. That if you both look up at the same divine source, if you both fall in love with the same God, the same ideal, that this would ensure the highest judgment possible for your relationship, that it would be secure karmically, although that's something that's created day to day. The contract is signed day to day, and you have to constantly look up and answer the horn. That's, I believe, the angel Gabriel. See, when you start to have a divine center, then you're both in the same revelry, joy, love, and respect, because you love and respect the same thing. So it's interesting. There must be a sort of spiritual awakening necessary in your bonding, a spiritual attunement that can guarantee the longevity of your relationship. These are not the small judgments. Remember just recently when I was reading about all meanness has to be dropped. Only see the merit of each other. Force yourself if need be. And no one will feel less in your company. And you can aspire to a greater goodness within yourself. It's it's the second from the last major arcana card. There's a sort of it's saying that if this step is taken in all sincerity, that it has the potential for being one of those soul mate experiences that, for instance, my mother and father had. So Libras, this, they're complex. Libras are complex. They don't like to commit. No, that's true. That's true. But they're very gregarious, and they love humanity in all its guises, you know. Um, they're not, even when they're snobs, they're not, you know. They're, they're really delightfully social. Libras, I'm saying. And, but yes, always perplexed about decisions. Yes. They need a strong hand beside them. Oh, isn't that beautiful? Wow. Well, it seemed like that's absolutely true, because she's saying that they have a very long relationship, and judgment is second to the last card. It implies the journey behind them. It implies all the trials and tribulations, all those initiations, having traversed them. The final seal to seal the deal has to be a spiritual step, deeply deep family bonding through spiritual ideas. You're welcome. He's Venus in Scorpio. You have Venus and Mars in Pisces. He has Mars and Venus in Scorpio, and you have Venus and Mars. Well, yes, that's lovely. It's just lovely. So much water. And that's sweet. It's so delicate, sensitive, passionate. Uh, but engaging. That's a very, very communicative sharing. It's a lot of sharing and communication there. Yes. All right, so it's 8. It started at 6:30. Goodness. Yes. Oh, thank you everyone for coming. I appreciate it very much. I hope you enjoyed learning a little bit from Rudolf Steiner, one of my great gurus. I hesitated to bring up Gurdjieff. He might be a little bit hard, a hard pill to swallow right away. So I thought I'd start with Rudolph instead. So, hi, Broken Gong. Hi. Well, I've been here forever, so I just saw you. Yeah. Thank you, chat. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for coming. All my love. So I'll see you soon. I'm working on, oh, by the way, the next Mind Show will be on water, the physics and metaphysics of water. It's such a deep subject, you have no idea. For one of the most simple elements, theoretically, in the world, there's an encyclopedia of information about it. So that will be the next one for that. So I'll just bid you all adieu, and I will see you next time. Ring the bell. All right.